Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I am Michelle Chalfant. Very happy to be here with you today because today I had a very special guest on the show. Someone that, boy, let me just tell you, wait till you hear this show. Her name is Nevsah Karamehmet, and she is a breathing expert. Let me just tell you before you go, I don't want to hear this show. I'm going to tell you why you do want to hear this show. Okay. We talked all about breathing and how I just want to say I was blown away by this statistic. Would you believe this? 90% of unexplained illnesses, 90 are due to dysfunctional breathing. There have been studies done on this. Nevsah, oh my gosh, she's a wealth of knowledge. And we talked about everything to do with breath. And by the way, I want to add to this before you get overwhelmed, because I get overwhelmed. I know how that feels. But here at the Adult Chair, we're all about simple psychology, grounded spirituality. And the key word in all of that is simple. I will not ever give you guys anything that's not simple. And let me just tell you what Nevsah talks about is simple. It's simple to apply. It does not take a lot of time, and it will transform your life. That's what I'm all about. So I wouldn't have someone on that didn't do this for us. But this, man, you guys, 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. If you breathe correctly, it can transform. Are you ready? Over 200 different, first of all, illnesses and ailments that people have. But let's talk specifically about what so many of us struggle with. Anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, sleeping disorders like insomnia. How about this? Moving emotions. We talk on the Adult Chair all the time, as you know, about how do we not get stuck in our emotions? How do we move emotions through us? And you've heard me, and I'm going to say I preach it. I do preach it with great love. I preach it with great love. That if we can let go of our emotions, because feeling our emotions is key. And by the way, if you haven't heard me say this before, every single human being has the ability to feel an emotion, and feeling our emotions and letting them come through and pass through us is so key for so many different things. But I want to say, we talked about this today. Nevsah and I talked about how learning to breathe correctly helps with this process. I did mention 5 minutes, right? I just want to make sure I said that. She even talked about something that you can do in 1 minute for anxiety. So this is a show you're definitely going to want to hear. We also talked about, here's something else that people struggle with. You ready for this? Migraines, chronic headaches, gone using correct breathing. Her mother had migraines for over 30 years. She was on medication. She went to doctor after doctor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nevsah worked with her, taught her how to breathe correctly. It has been 11 years. No headaches, nothing, not one. So this is the power of learning how to breathe correctly. And as many of you are probably guessing, we either breathe, we're too shallow, we're too deep. So she's going to talk to us today about all of this. And would you believe this? I have another thing for you. 99% of our body pain is due to how we breathe. Yes, 99% of body pain is due to how we breathe. And I was telling her on the show that, ironically, For those of you that have been with me in adult chair workshops or even my coaching certification, my lower back really hurts. I had a herniated disc many years ago. So I don't know if it's from that or something else, but man, by the end of the day, or even sometimes half the day, my back is screaming and it's really hard for me to stand. And Nevsah was talking about how lower back pain is caused again from breathing issues. We're not breathing correctly. And I said to her, ironically, my new personal trainer, I went into personal training thinking, okay, here we go. We're going to strengthen my back. We're going to do all kinds of stretching. This guy is doing breathing techniques with me because he said I was not breathing deeply enough and using my diaphragm. And I have to tell you, in just 4 weeks of working with him, 4 or 5 weeks actually, my lower back pain is almost gone just by breathing. And my homework is not to stretch, is not to lift weights, is not to do all that. It's to breathe in a certain way and using full breath. So it's just kind of ironic that I'm working with him and then spoke with Nevsah. Kind of crazy. So this show today is all about, again, it's all about emotional balance, physical balance. Breathing correctly affects us physiologically. It affects the chemistry. It affects our biology. It affects us emotionally. It is something we absolutely have to learn how to do. If you're a human being, please listen to this podcast and go follow Nevsah. She's got lots of great stuff. We talk about it on today's show. Okay. So what do I need to tell you about? All right. We have two things. Number one, in case you've missed it, we have TAC Circles, which is the adult chair meetup community. It's worldwide. It's 100% free. But how cool would it be to get together with people that are like-minded, that are also learning how to live in their healthiest adult self, which we call here living in your adult chair. Yes, you can join. Go to theadultchair.com/TAC Circles. That's TACCIRCLES. And you can find a group in your area. We are meeting because of COVID, mostly on Zoom, but I am hearing that we are starting to lift some of these restrictions. And hopefully by April, we'll be doing some in-person meetings. So in some meetings, we're even doing live and in person. So go online, check it out. If you'd like to be a leader of a group in your area, we want to hear from you. So please go onto the website and let us know. If you'd like to join a group that you don't see already on the website, then please put down your city and state and country and let us know where you are, because we've got over, 70 groups starting in April 1st. This is the next launch of these TAC Circles. I think we're probably going to have around 70 new groups. So that's going to be launching in April. And then every 3 months, every quarter, we're going to launch new groups. So even if you're hearing this far into the future, please go to theadultchair.com/TAC Circles and let us know where you are. And if you'd like to join or become a leader in your area, we would love to have you. We want the whole world learning how to live in their adult chair, you guys. It's 100% free. And it is only going to help the world by getting yourselves in your adult chairs, which we on this podcast, all of you and me, are all doing. So let's get out there and teach the world how to do that. Okay. We're going to jump into Nevsah in 1 second. I just want to have a quick word from our sponsor, Hair Food. We all know the benefits of eating superfoods. Well, what if we had products for our hair that were loaded with superfoods? Well, guess what? I have found them. Yep, I've been using clean, simple, kitchen-crafted recipes from Hair Food and have seen amazing results. They have a wide range of products, but I started with their shampoos and conditioners, and they are all incredible. They have tea tree and lavender, manuka honey and apricot, coconut milk and chai spice, just to name a few. And yes, they all smell as good as they sound. I've been using these products for only a month, and my hair feels so much better. It feels healthier and softer with far less dry and split ends. And why wouldn't it feel healthier? I'm feeding it good, healthy food. These products are also free of sulfates, parabens, and dyes, because let's face it, your hair does not want to eat that stuff. The best part is the price. The products are so affordable. Check them out for yourself at Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, Walmart, or Amazon. Your hair will thank you. Okay, you guys, let me just tell you a little bit about Nevsah, and we're going to jump right into the show. Nevsah is a distinguished and highly respected international teacher in meditation, breathing, and behavioral sciences with a 25-year track record of unrivaled expertise. She's a faculty member at Breathing Sciences. She is the founding president of Breath Coach Federation, Breath Coaching Limited, founding president and master teacher at Nevsah Institute. She's developed tens of online and live courses and professional training that expand human consciousness by transforming thinking and breathing habits. So here we go with Nevsah Karamehmet. Okay, so welcome to the Adult Chair podcast, Nevsah. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. I am very much interested and have been for many years in breathing and the correct way that we need to be breathing and how it affects us emotionally and mentally and physically, of course. But I'd love to hear your story. How did you become a breathing expert? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like everybody else, I needed to breathe myself.
Yes.
In my 20s.
Yes.
In my 20s, I remember a time when, even though I was young and energetic and healthy, and even though everything was fine, you know, in your 20s, you're just having fun, you don't have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
I was kind of like feeling depressed, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Because I didn't experience any psychological traumas. So there isn't any like traumatic, I don't have a traumatic background. I'm from a very happy family, and I was successful in my teenage years as well. Good grades, you know, beautiful community, friends, family. And then somehow I started feeling depressed and kind of like I lost purpose, and I couldn't figure out why. And I remember the first time I started meditation. So I basically owe finding the power of breath to meditation, because I started meditation many years ago, 25 years ago, when I first started feeling depressed. I thought meditation would help, and some experts around me, some of my, you know, family friends told me, you know, maybe you should, you know, meditate. Maybe, you know, you need some time to spend on your own. So I started meditating, and somehow I started realizing that there has been a different, like I started realizing that I was having some breathing issues, and that I owe to meditation, because I think if I wasn't aware of my body and of myself, I wouldn't be able to recognize the times I was breathing dysfunctional. So I kind of like the first time, even before I started breathwork, I knew there was something wrong with my breathing. And out of nowhere, even though I was doing sports and exercising, I was very healthy and fit, I would go out of breath, you know, and I would need to take deeper breaths. And I felt like there's something wrong over here. Like there's something wrong with my breathing. And then I started researching on it. I met some teachers, and I started breathwork sessions, and I started doing some breathing therapy. And because I was also trained as a yoga teacher back then, I started doing some, you know, breathing therapy and breathwork with pranayama and all different breathing techniques. And then I realized breathing affects our psychology. It's like the moment we change our breathing, everything gets affected in our psychology. The way we breathe affects how we think, how we feel. It changes everything. And with my own experience, I was like, I want to learn more about breathing, because I want to, you know, regulate my own psychology. I want to, you know, control my psychology. I don't want to feel depressed or anxiety or whatever. If there is this tool I could use to control my psychology, I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. And the more I practiced breath work, the more I was able to govern my own breath, the more I was able to govern my emotions and who I was psychologically and mentally, and I loved it. And yeah, and over the years, I've been researching about it and writing. And as you know, I'm right now the faculty member at Breathing Sciences School, doing a lot of research on breathing and dysfunctional breathing habits. and also mentoring some of the breath coaches and breath workers from all around the world. I always say it's like if people knew how powerful it was to just, change our breath, to change our psychology, or to change our mentality, people would just, leave everything they're doing and only concentrate on their breathing.
So I so agree with you. I have not been studying it nearly as extensively as you, but fascinated after really spending a lot of time with a friend of mine that did a lot of yoga and all the pranayama that you learn in yoga. And I learned a lot of breathing techniques from her, but you went way deeper than she and I went. And so what happened with your depression? I'm curious. So you started learning all about breathing, started practicing breathing, changing your breathing. So in your 20s, what happened with your depression when you learned how to breathe correctly?
Yeah. Well, I think the story goes like this, and I think it's very important for also young people to get that. I thought to myself, like, if I'm feeling depressed, and if I can govern my emotions and I can govern myself, I will find a way. And I resisted and didn't see any psychologist until now. So I was like, I'm going to somehow find a way, a natural way to manage my psychology, and I'm going to do it myself, because I thought, getting support from the outside wouldn't work for me because I don't have a traumatic issue. I said to myself, I have to do it on my own. And what I realized is the more I practice breath work and the more different techniques I practice, that's why I usually suggest people to try different modalities, not just stick to one technique, because once you stick to one technique, you can't figure out what you're doing dysfunctional. So what I did was I wanted to try all techniques and all modalities and find out what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. And I realized I was a shallow breather. I was breathing too shallow. And then after I started researching, because I was doing sports, I was professional playing volleyball, and then I, went on all kinds of, fitness and yoga and exercise. I exercised like all my life because I was exercising at least 1 or 2 hours every day, and my body was releasing too much lactic acid. That shallow breathing kept me acidic. So my chemistry was so acidic that it was the reason behind my depression. I found out that, the reason behind my depression was my shallow breath. And the moment I deepened my breath, it's kind of like from a zero level of fulfillment. With every breathing session, I went higher and higher and higher. And then in a few months later, I was 100% fulfilled about who I was, about life. It's kind of like it recharged me. I was able to, connect with my purpose again, and I was able to connect with life again. And, it's amazing that I could do that only by changing my breath, just changing my breathing habit, which was shallow, to a more deeper breathing habit. Everything started changing in my psychology and in my life. And that's just, amazing.
In just a few months? You said just a few months.
Yeah, in just a few months. Yeah, probably around 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
Very few months.
But it sounds like a lot changed more than just your depression. It was like you had your purpose again. You were more connected to yourself. Like many beautiful things happened just from breathing correctly. I have a question. So then as a human being, all human beings should not breathe the same. Is that what you're saying? Like, is there a correct way for every human being to breathe? Or no? Really?
I think that's very important for us to understand. Yeah, there is no correct way of breathing on the mechanic level.
Okay.
Because when the thing is, many people think breathing and respiration are the same, but they are not.
Yeah.
Breathing is very psychological. Breathing is actually behavioral. Like all behavioral habits, we learn breathing habits. And along the way, we all have different breathing habits. And some of those habits are useful and some of those habits are harmful. And we all have different breathing habits depending on how old we are, how much exercise we do, how we eat, or even our like sleeping habits, depending on our sleeping habits, we all have different breathing habits, which is perfect. But when you look at healthy breathing is your breathing becoming aligned with the respiratory physiology, because we can manipulate our breathing, which means if I ask people to breathe slow, to breathe fast, shallow, you can do it because you can manipulate, but we can't manipulate our respiration. Respiration is a brainstem reflex, and it happens reflexively. And even though you're not breathing at all, so even though you just stopped breathing right now, your respiration system is working. So people think like, I should be breathing, I have to do the breathing myself, but actually you don't need to do the breathing yourself. Your body is already breathing. But whether you have a healthy breathing or habit or not, that depends on what you're doing throughout the day. And when we look at a healthy breathing habit, it's when we look at someone who has a healthier breathing habit, we see that that person, that individual can breathe in all the ways. So if you can breathe slow and fast, if you are capable of breathing deep and shallow, if you're capable of breathing from the diaphragm and release the diaphragm, from the chest, release the chest, waiting before the inhale, not waiting before the inhale. If you are capable of like having a flexible body, if your breathing is flexible, then you are healthy. But like in my example, I was able to breathe shallow, but I wasn't able to breathe deep. So that was the cause of many problems. There are a lot of people who breathe very slow and their metabolism slows down and they get fat easily. And there are a lot of people who breathe fast and can't slow down. And they are living a very fast life and they are usually thin, their metabolism rate is high, and they're usually stressed. So it's kind of like the way we breathe shapes us our reality. And if we have a breathing habit, means if we are not flexible in our breathing, if we lost our flexibility and we're breathing a certain way, that can cause more than 200 symptoms we experience. Like migraine, ADD, ADHD, panic attack, anxiety. They're all well-known symptoms of dysfunctional breathing habits.
Wow.
And regular breath work helps. I mean, basically with regular breath work, like in yoga, you stretch your breathing.
Yeah.
And the more you stretch your breathing, the more different techniques you practice. You start breathing healthier and your breath opens up and it's now relaxed and flexible. And once you can breathe in all the ways, then it
changes
very much
everything.
aligned with the respiratory chemistry.
I heard or read something somewhere where you were talking about like you just said, like hundreds of different ailments that we're walking around with, from anxiety to depression to insomnia to ADHD to thyroid issues. I mean, it's across the spectrum that can manifest because we're not breathing correctly, but also we can correct them from breathing correctly, or as you would say, in a dysfunctional way versus functionally breathing. Again, so if someone's listening to this right now, what can you suggest that they can try or do right this second? Just sort of get very conscious about how they're breathing. Just kind of start paying attention and raise their awareness around breathing. Is that what you would be like the first step?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is just checking if you have a breathing habit or not. And that's by checking with different techniques. So what I would suggest is people could just close their eyes and first check if they are able to breathe in the diaphragm. If when you're taking an inhale, just check if your diaphragm is expanding fully and relaxing. Like, can you expand it fully? Can you relax it fully? And then the next thing they can check is, after the diaphragm, after you see the diaphragm expand, is your chest expanding as well? And then they can check, if they are chest breathers or diaphragmatic breathers. And then they could check, they could start breathing fast and they could start breathing slow. They could start, breathing shallow and then deeper. Just checking all kinds of breathing techniques, connecting the inhale connecting the inhale and exhale, no pauses before the inhale, exhale, and then pausing before the inhale and exhale. And I do suggest usually to people to try some specific breathing modalities, some specific breathing techniques, like conscious connected breathing is one of them. And then coherent breathing is another one. And like especially for people who feel anxious and who feel panicky, they probably are not aligning the inhale and exhale. So I usually suggest coherent breathing, which balances the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. And they could just do it by counting to 5 when they inhale and counting to 5 when they exhale. Just closing your eyes, breathing in for 5, and then breathing it out for 5. Only balancing the inhale and exhale balances the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system, and just clears away anxiety and panic attack and panicky feelings. So that's like one of the main techniques we suggest. But also like trying conscious connected breathing, connecting the inhale and exhale, as well as that, trying different breathing modalities, like breathing in for 4, pausing for 7, breathing out for 8, some relaxation techniques. With every breathing technique we practice, we stretch our breathing more and more.
Yeah.
So I think breathing and breath work is a journey. So if there's anyone out there who's, listening to us and who would like to stretch their breathing, I think it should, it's done. I mean, we need to understand that it's done by practicing breath work every day.
Okay.
And not with one specific technique, but different techniques.
Okay. Oh, that's really important, because in my mind, with my black and white thinking, I go, okay, I'm going to pick one and do it every single day. But you're saying be more gray about it. Do different ones. And do you do different ones to find the one that most resonates with you? Or do you do different breathing techniques in order to really stretch the diaphragm and the chest and the belly and all of this? What is the benefit of doing different techniques?
You're doing that in order to stretch your breathing. So I like it explaining, like, just imagine. Yeah, it's kind of like, just imagine you're eating potatoes every day. Is that healthy? So there are a lot of people who think that pneumatic breathing is the healthy way to breathe, but it's like only breathing in from the diaphragm is basically like eating potatoes every day.
Oh, I love
and
that
it's not
analogy.
Healthy at all, because your body needs all kinds of different techniques, all kinds of breathing ways. Or just imagine you're doing yoga, but you're only stretching your legs and you're not doing anything with your arms or neck or anything. And then you have great stretched legs, but then the rest of the body is stiff.
I love that.
Exactly the same thing with breath. Yeah, it's the exact same thing with breath. So different techniques, different, modalities. And that's basically why, around the world, most experts around the world came together and we created the Breath Hub platform. And that's basically why we created that platform, so that people can, just go in the app, in the platform, and they could use different techniques each and every day and change their breathing habits.
What is this?
If
what's
you're
the
practicing
platform
one
called?
Method,
Sorry.
Breath Hub.
This is your new app, correct?
Practicing one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Keep going. Sorry about that. I wanted to write it down.
Sure. If you're practicing one breathing technique every day, it's like it becomes a dysfunctional breathing habit. Even if you didn't have any dysfunctional breathing habits, you would get a new dysfunctional breathing habit by breathing the same way every day. So as breathing experts, people from, breathing sciences faculty, or people who are interested in breathing sciences, who did enough research on breathing habits and how they affect our psychology, immune system and physiology and our body chemistry. We do not teach one specific modality as this is the way to breathe. We, support people to trying all kinds of breathing methods so that they could stretch and they could form a very functional breathing habit, because a functional breathing habit is a stretched breathing.
So if we practice different breathing techniques every day, let's say, is that what you would recommend like one day again is conscious connected breathing. The next day would be coherent breathing.
Yeah.
Every day you do a different one. And then what happens to the body after time? It just picks one and it adapts to it, or what happens then? Your body just starts to breathe itself. Is that what happens, or over time?
The body, because the breath stretches, the body just breathes the way it needs to.
Okay.
So I'm going to give an example because it's a good and real example that I have been focusing on many years on my breathing habit. I think that would, help people understand what I mean by that. So as I said, I had a shallow breathing habit and I was doing sports. And while doing sports, and when you look at the respiratory physiology, how it works and reflexively, because while we're doing sports, our body is releasing a lot of lactic acid. What happens is we start breathing deeper. So when you look at people who are running, who are doing exercise, we do breathe deeper, right? When we're doing sports. And the reason is that we have too much lactic acid and the body's reflexive system kicks in. And because our respiration manipulates the body fluid pH, the brain leads the body to breathe deeper so that we could go alkaline. We go a little bit into respiratory alkalosis, and then that alkaline in the body compensates the acid.
Got it. Okay.
If you can't breathe deeper, what's going to happen is, and I was doing sports and I wasn't able to breathe deeper because I didn't stretch my breathing that way. I was breathing shallow and I had too much lactic acid in my system, which led to depression. And the opposite is also true. Like imagine you need deep breathing while you're doing sports, and there's a reason behind that because your body is trying to compensate the acid. But then just imagine you're sitting in the office and something happens, and just because you have a need to breathe deeper, or because your dysfunctional breathing habit kicks in and you start breathing too deep, then what's going to happen is you're going to go respiratory alkalosis and you're going to be face to face with panic attack.
Oh, wow.
It's like, it's not even about how we are breathing, but it's about what we're doing with our breath the most of the time. It's all about, do we have a dysfunctional breathing habit or not? And to go beyond those habits, we need different techniques and we need different practices.
So is this something that we would practice like for a few months and then we're good? Or like, do you still practice different breathing techniques every single day? Like how long do we need to do this?
I do to make sure. Yeah. And it's kind of like breathing is a journey.
Yeah.
And once you start trying techniques, like I said, because you learn to manage and govern your physiology and psychology and also, mentality, you then love it. It's like for me, trying a new breathing technique every day, just sitting down and, meditation and doing a breathing technique and then going into meditation, just trying different technique. It is kind of like, being on a psychological journey, being on a journey with yourself. And I think many people are like, there are a lot of people who are meditating, and just because they're not combining breathing techniques and breathing modalities with meditation, they're having a hard time meditating. I mean, there are a lot of techniques that could just calm you down in 2 seconds, or stop the thinking or stop the mind and calm down the mind in 1 minute. It's like less than a minute. You can just, even before like starting meditation, if you were able to, practice one breathing technique or some breath work, you could have a deeper meditation experience. But for people who are not doing that, they can't go deeper, or some people can't even meditate. Like I think breath work is especially for people who can't meditate.
Yeah.
Because you can meditate if you practice breath work.
So you're saying, I'm wondering, so someone that has a lot of ruminating thoughts, doing breath work then with meditation would be beneficial, because those are the people that say, I can't meditate, my thoughts are da, da, da. But if they possibly did some breath work ahead of time, that could help with their thoughts and the rumination of thought.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
I think breath work is definitely for people who can't meditate.
I love that. And I was listening to you, and I think you said something about, and I totally agree with this. We go to meditate, we go to yoga, and then we walk out in the parking lot after yoga, and someone cuts us off, and we're angry and stressed out again. It's like all of that's gone. And what you were saying is with breath work, you can maintain this more peaceful, balanced state of being, and you drop less into this disempowered, stressful place. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what's happening in the body and how does that happen? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, because like I said in the beginning, the way we breathe affect our thoughts and affects our emotions. Once we start realizing that, and once we start manipulating our breath, controlling our breath, and governing our breath, what's going to happen is, I mean, what happens when you practice daily breath work is that you experience different emotions and different thoughts. So the first thing that happens is because you deeply experience different emotions and different thoughts, you get used to them.
Okay. Oh, great.
So it doesn't affect you that much. It's like if you can, for example, start breathing or practice some breath work, especially when you're angry, what's going to happen is you get deeper into that anger feeling and you literally anchor in that feeling with your breath, using your breath, and you move, you transform that feeling, you move out of it. But the thing is, you became friends with it.
Yes.
So the more you practice breath work, the more it's kind of like, I think practicing breath work daily is kind of like being on a psychological journey, but it's intentional. So you wake up in the morning and you do some breathing and you do some breath work, you deeply connect with your psychology. And because you can govern your psychology, you tap into different emotions, like, some mornings, because humans are psychological beings. And it's like one day isn't the same as the other day. So one day you wake up stressed, the other day you wake up happy, the other day you wake up in fear or anxious or whatever. It's like, one evening you are tired, the other evening you're stressed or whatever. And if you intentionally sit down and breathe into those emotions, what happens is emotions lose their meanings because you can govern them with your breathing. Like with your breathing, with my breathing, I have full control on my emotion. I know that by daily breath work, I know that whenever I feel anxious, I can just change my breath and move away from that. Then I don't fear of being anxious. And whenever people don't fear about being anxious or stressed, they stop being anxious and stressed.
Oh, wow.
So it's the opposite of what people think. It's like the more you run away from anger or anxiety or stress, worse it's going to get. But when you intentionally stop running away from them, and when you do daily breath work every day and connect with your psychology in the deepest level, because that's what breath work is going to do, then you get used to all kinds of emotions. And because you can govern your breath and govern those emotions, you're kind of like, okay, what if I get angry? I'll just, change my breath and just move away from that. So you don't have a fear of anger anymore. And then you kind of like transform that. And because you're not running away from it, you're willing to become angry, then you become this individual who doesn't get angry anymore.
You're speaking my love language, I got to tell you right now. Here at the Adult Chair podcast, but just in general. So this model, the Adult Chair that I have developed, I speak a lot about feeling our emotions. And I do talk a lot about breathing into these emotions. And what you're saying is just completely in line with what I believe is, when we can feel these emotions, we're not afraid of them. It's like, so what? I'm feeling angry. Okay. Doesn't mean we have to participate in it and act on it. So what? I'm feeling lonely or sad or guilty or whatever it is. But what I also hear you saying is that these emotions pass through us. They're not stuck because we're not afraid. And when we don't stop the emotion, I say this all the time. They pass through us in seconds, like 90 seconds, and they're through. We stop them. So what I'm hearing you say is breathing.
Yeah, and the way you
will even
stop
help
them,
that even more.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way to stop them is basically by stopping your breath or going into a dysfunctional breathing habit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very easy to tell people, like, don't run away from your feelings, don't run away from your emotions, just stay there. But I know we're living in the 21st century where people learned different ways to run away from themselves. It's easier said than done. And that's why we need breath work, because it's like with breath work, if you connect with your breath, if that's your anchor, if breath is your anchor, then you don't fear any emotion. If you don't have that, if you don't have a tool that can transform whatever you're feeling in seconds, then you are afraid of that feeling. It lasts longer. It's like, because you have this habitual, trying to run away from that feeling. And that's the magic of breath. It's like it helps us to just be inside of it. It's like not many people can stay inside their feelings. People, I mean, I see a lot of people who are meditating, then they spend years to be able to stay in their feelings. They spend years to be able to express their feelings. Like I've seen people who spend 5 years, 6 years meditating. They spent years until they could open up, until they could feel something, until they could be okay with what their feeling their tears and their sorrow and their pain. And with breath work, you don't need all that time. I mean, you just, start practicing a breath work, and then 2 minutes later, you start crying.
Oh, wow. I love that. It's that fast.
Because it opens up so quickly. Yeah, it's that fast.
I'm all about fast. I like hearing that, Nevsah. I like hearing that. That's awesome. I'm all about moving emotion through us quickly and not getting stuck and feeling unstuck. What would be a breathing, like for those listening right now, what's something that they can practice starting today that would be a simple technique that they can do right now?
The first thing is, because we learn to overbreathe over the years, and many people are mouth breathers. Yeah. The first thing is practicing breathing through the nose. And like I said, the best modality would be just sitting down and first balancing the inhale and exhale. And they could just sit down comfortably, breathe in, counting to 5, breathe out, counting to 5. And that could, balance the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And after that, what people could do is, because healthy breathing is all about letting your body breathe the way it wants. I think practice is like after you balance the breath, because once you are feeling, if you're feeling anxious, or if you're, feeling stressed out, it's not easy to move away from the body and just, let go. So first step should be balancing the inhale and exhale. And they could just breathe like this for 3 to 5 minutes, just closing their eyes and breathing for 5, and then breathing out for 5. Just take a couple of minutes to just balance the inhale and exhale. And once the sympathetic and parasympathetic system balances, then what they can do is they can start noticing how the breath moves in the body instead of manipulating and controlling it, just watching, becoming one with it, and just stepping back and just noticing how the diaphragm moves and expands, and noticing how the chest expands, and noticing doing some breath awareness exercises on ourselves is the best thing. And that's how I started breathing, like sitting down and just watching, like checking, am I breathing in the diaphragm? Okay, am I breathing too much in the diaphragm? Do I have a need to breathe deep? Or am I fulfilled with my breath? Am I able to let go easily? Am I able to exhale easily? Or am I forcing the exhale? Can I breathe in easily? Do I breathe deep enough? Is my breath shallow? Is it slow? Is it fast? Just checking how you breathe and connecting with your breath is the first step. Then what's going to happen is they will be able to realize what they can do and what they can't do, so that they can practice specific methods on themselves. It's like if you realize you're breathing shallow, you can maybe practice some deep breathing exercises. If you see that you're breathing too much in the diaphragm, you could start practicing some calming breath exercises, like shallowing down the breath and slowing down the breath.
That's beautiful. So in just 5 minutes, they can just spend some time really getting to know how they're breathing. Yeah. You know, I notice sometimes when
but
I'm
before
talking,
that, balancing the inhale and exhale is very important.
So 5 in and
for
5
us to
out.
be even aware. Yeah, it's like we're living in a fast track life.
Very
and we're
much.
like, oh, you
Yeah.
just need to slow down, balance parasympathetic, sympathetic, so that you can stay with your breath and just get aware of it, for a couple of more minutes. And that could lead to miracles. It's like even this. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then the more we practice, the body just kind of takes over and starts breathing us. It's just the body starts doing it on its own, where we have a deficit. So if we're too shallow, we breathe deeper. If we're too deep, we breathe not so deep, kind of thing. I love this. I realized I don't even know, months ago, I was speaking and I'm like, I'm out of breath. And I'd have to stop and go, I said, I'm breathing so shallow. Something's not right. But something else you talked about, which I found fascinating. So I've had lower back issues for a while, years. And as I teach, we have a coaching certification and workshops, and I'm in a lot of pain by the end of the first day because I have to stand all day long. So I just started with a personal trainer that is rehabbing my back. And I couldn't even believe it. So, and this is ironic that now I'm talking with you about this. So the very first session, he's testing, my body and all this stuff, and I'm on the table and he says, I want you to breathe. And I said, okay. And he says, you're not even breathing in your diaphragm. I want you to breathe. And I'm like, I am. And he says, I'm not, you're not. And I realized I'm breathing so shallow. So the first 5 sessions with this guy, all we do, and I didn't think he was a breathing expert. He's like a physical personal trainer. All he does is breathe with me. He says, I just want you to breathe. This is part of your low back issue. And I heard you speaking about so many people with low back issues. It's because they're not breathing correctly. So when I heard you say that, and here I've got my trainers, all we do is I lay on the table or I lay on the floor with him and I'm breathing. That's it. He goes, you're not breathing, breathe deeper. And he puts his hands on my belly, breathe deeper, push. I'm like, this is crazy. And then you said the same thing about low back. Talk about that just a little bit, because there's a lot of people with low back issues.
Yeah, 99% of all the pain we feel in our body is because we are not breathing functional.
Wow. 99% of body pain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Pain symptoms.
Wow.
Is related to breathing. Because, basically what happens when you don't breathe functional is because of the chemical change. Even though you have enough oxygen in the blood, the oxyhemoglobin stays saturated and it doesn't release oxygen to the cells. So many people, especially if you have pain in the body, you probably don't have enough oxygen in your cells. And that's the reason when we don't have enough oxygen in the cell, we have pain, basically. And if we could breathe in that areas, like we have tens of different kind of like painkiller sessions on Breath Hub, only concentrating on pain. Yeah. Like my mom healed her migraine fully just by changing her breathing habit. Like her migraine attacks lasted for over 30 years, all through my childhood. And it was serious. And she went to probably more than 20 doctors. And the doctors were saying, because they checked everything. And then they were like, we couldn't find a reason why you have migraine. It's probably psychological. And there are a lot of people out there who have pain and migraine only because of, psychological reasons. And also 90% of the unexplained symptoms people have, like doctors can't find any organic reason, and they call, stress-related symptoms or unexplained symptoms are because of dysfunctional breathing habits. So we worked with my mom's breathing habit, and she doesn't even have a headache since the past 11 plus years.
Wow. And she had the migraines for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 30 plus probably.
Wow.
And then for the past 11, 12 years, she didn't even have a headache. And there's a whole scientific explanation behind it. She was an overbreather, and she was experiencing was a constriction. She didn't have enough oxygen in the cells. She didn't have enough oxygen in the brain. And when her breathing habit triggered, when she was overbreathing, she would have migraines. And because we didn't check her breathing, or we didn't check her carbon dioxide levels. I mean, who checks the carbon dioxide levels of a patient when they have migraine?
Nobody,
right? But
no.
If you did, you would see that. I mean, she's in respiratory alkalosis, and migraine is one of the well-known symptoms of respiratory alkalosis.
Wow. I'm thinking of like fibromyalgia. That's insane.
Yeah.
Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, all of these things, people that are experiencing even like hair loss, people that are experiencing insomnia. Like I'm thinking about all these things because if we're not breathing correctly, we're very acidic, right? Is that what's happening?
Or alkaline.
Or
either
too alkaline.
Or alkaline.
Too alkaline, you're saying.
Yeah, we either go to respiratory, we go into respiratory alkalosis, that's a symptom, or respiratory acidosis. And there are more than 200 well-known symptoms, scientifically proven symptoms of respiratory alkalosis.
Wow.
Attention deficit problems,
ADHD,
disorders, headache, migraine, ADHD, sleeping disorders, asthma, panic attack, depression.
This is crazy.
These are in respiratory science books. I think that's crazy because once I started researching and once I started reading all of the books of respiratory scientists, when I came up with the, like the symptoms of respiratory alkalosis, acidosis, and, many people have those symptoms, I was like, this is insane. Nobody talks about this. People, get prescriptive medicine and, they don't check their breathing.
Wow. This is crazy. Like this, I feel like every doctor should know this. Like they should be measuring breath immediately when someone walks in the door. And I don't think any doctors talk about this unless maybe you're a functional medicine doc, but I don't know.
They need to maybe remember what they learned in, medical school, because they did learn about respiratory alkalosis. They just need to be reminded of. I have been lecturing to a lot of doctors over the years. And once you speak about it, they're like, yeah, of course. Yeah, respiratory alkalosis. It
makes sense.
That could be behind her migraine, of course. But it's like there's too much information out there. And I think we can't blame the medical doctors, because it's like when you look at the whole, how the, medical world runs, because it's not holistic enough.
Yeah.
Neurologists focus on that, and osteopaths focus on that, and everybody focuses on different stuff.
Yeah.
And when you look at breathing, because it combines everything, physiology, psychology, chemistry, neurology, it's like it's hard to figure out that. So that's why I just, basically talking about the fact that more than 90% of the unexplained symptoms or stress-related symptoms are not, I think, stress-related, but they are more chemical problems because of the dysfunctional breathing habits we have.
Wow. That's fascinating. How many different types of breathing techniques are out there? Like, are there hundreds of ways to breathe? Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, and you just try random. Exactly. So we need to go to your app, Breath Hub, which I'll put in the show notes, and they're all on there, hundreds of different breathing techniques.
Yeah. And it wouldn't, I think, be wise to say random. I think it would be wise to say it's like because we have been doing, as breath experts and as breath workers from all around the world, because we have been doing a lot of research, and we now know that which symptom, like which breathing habit is the cause of which symptom. Like if you have a migraine,
yeah,
you have headaches, we know that you're overbreathing. We know that you're using your diaphragm too much. You go on, and when you, for example, you try a course on, healing migraine, in that course, all we are trying to do is balance the inhale and exhale, release the diaphragmatic muscles, shallow down the breath because you're overbreathing if you have migraine. So it's kind of like if you have a migraine and you don't have, and there is no organic reason behind that, because there can be many reasons people have migraine. But if it's stress-related migraine, or if it's an unexplained symptom, it might be because of your overbreathing habit and because you're using the diaphragm too much. So what we have in that course or in the sessions that ease migraine is breathing techniques which will calm down the diaphragm, which will shallow down the breath. Or, for example, you're a woman and you have, or for example, you're pregnant, and then we know how pregnant women breathe. They have a specific breathing habit, and we know what they need them. So for pregnant women, there are specific techniques. So with every symptom you're experiencing, because we know how you're breathing, we somehow created the breath hub in such a way that, for example, for anxiety relieving breaths, you're going to change a breathing habit that is the cause of your anxiety while doing those exercises. So we suggest people to go in Breath Hub and also check the categories of what they want to work on. Like maybe they want to focus, maybe they want to practice breathing techniques for focus. If you're having a hard time focusing, if you have some ADD or ADHD, attention deficit problems, we know how you're breathing. We know your breathing habit. And we have tens of different techniques that could heal that. So it's basically that, Breath Hub is, that's why we are very, very careful on, all the breathing techniques and methods we have there, because it's not fully random. For every different issue you have, you can try tens of different techniques, but they will all change that specific breathing habit.
Wow. I can't wait to go. I'm going to go check out that app as soon as we're done here. I love this. So this was phenomenal. I'm really, really excited to actually check out the app, but also to share this with everybody. This was such a good show today. Thank you. Where would people find out, other than going to Breath Hub on the app, where else would people go to find you? Tell us, where do we go?
Yeah, my website is on my name, nevsah.co.uk, which is in English. And I regularly teach breath courses on all, kinds of dysfunctional behavioral transformation courses as well. And I'm the founder president of Breath Coaching Federation. And I think Breath Coaching Federation is also a great platform to connect with different teachers and different courses, because we have different schools involved under the umbrella of Breath Coaching Federation.
Okay.
And if they don't want to do it themselves, they could always find a breath worker to work with where they live as well.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, this is international, I'm guessing. Yes?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then is it possible to have a coach on Zoom that could teach you about breath work, or is it something you should only do in person?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you can do Zoom. Okay.
Exactly. You can find a coach. Over the years, I realized that it's like meditation. I think it's wiser and much fun when you start doing breath work on your own.
Yeah.
And I like doing it on my own, and I like meditating on my own. It's because it's your own journey.
Yeah.
If you're used to being in that space, you don't want anyone to, intrude into that space. But if you're a beginner, of course, you can get support from a coach in the beginning. But then doing breath work every day on your own, it's such a miracle. It's so beautiful, being on that breath journey, being in that life journey. And we're breathing the whole time. And what could you I mean, want more. And,
Mhm.
you know, what could be deeper than that to connect you with life itself?
Yeah. I mean, that's our life
You know?
force is our breath. So to have a beautiful relationship with our breath, I mean, it's essential, but I think we forget about it. You know, we don't even think about it. We take it for granted,
Yeah.
but to become more conscious about our breathing, it's really essential to having a healthy life is what it sounds like on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally. Yeah.
And life itself, like life force energy itself,
Yeah.
and life itself is our breath. So the
Yeah.
more you spend time with your breath, the more wisdom you have around your breathing and around your breathing habits, the more wisdom you have around life. And there are a lot of people who are, you know, trying to become masters of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, master your breath, and then you will master your life. It's that simple. Master your breath. It's like
Wow.
it's almost impossible to describe how deep it is.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, your own breath journey, like so deep. You could go like you can tap into all kinds of ideas and human behavior and emotions and feelings just by breathing, just by being on a breathing journey. You find out more about life than with anything else.
Well, it deeply, deeply connects you back to yourself. So I can imagine it. It's probably hard to put into words, is what it sounds like to me. What you experience. You know, you're trying to condense it into words, and it's like it's vast. What happens when you're practicing breath work, and
maybe also connect with your to connect with your podcast as well. My last words would be: when I started breathing, I was a little girl, and in my breath journey, I became an adult.
Oh wow! Oh, I love that.
So that's how I would explain it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And is in 5 minutes a day. Like people say, I don't have time. Like, who doesn't? If you don't have 5 minutes a day for yourself, that's a problem right there.
Yeah.
Because it's for your health on every level. So, oh my God, Nevsah, thank you. Really, really appreciate you being here today. Yeah. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. And I really, really, I'm so excited to get this out. So thank you so much.
Thank you too. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Go download that app, Breath Hub. I've already done it and it's pretty darn cool. I will be implementing this into my daily practice for sure. All right, that's all I've got for you guys. Hey, by the way, go find an adult chair community in your area. Just head over to theadultchair.com/TAC circles and go join a community. Find other adult chair peeps local to you. And if you don't see your town, please put your name and city down and you can either become a leader or we're going to form a group in your area in the future. So again, we've got 70 plus, I think somewhere around there, new groups forming April 1st. We're going to do this every quarter. We hope you are part of this. We are taking the adult chair worldwide and in person. Hopefully soon, as COVID goes away, we're meeting more and more in person. So we'd love to see you guys there. All right. I will be, I'd love to hear from you guys, actually. Let me know what you think of this show. You can always hit me up on Instagram. We are on YouTube and, of course, Facebook. You know, I love hearing from you guys. It makes my day. So love you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And I'll see you seated right here next week in the adult chair.